texting.
Welcome into Blockchain Basement, where we look at graphs and memes from the internet, and sometimes we talk about the economic future for the economy. All this and more in today's Blockchain Basement. Bum, 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 bum. You ready for this? I'm ready. Welcome.
If you're gonna screw me, at least pull my hair.
Hell yeah. What you got?
They could start chopping off fingers. They're like, give me your seed phrase, but I don't know it.
Out to give the numbers out. And I was like, no, hang up the phone right now.
Or like when it dropped in 2020, was it like exciting?
400,000 to 600,000. The generational signals are now.
Level. So I don't even know if we're gonna get back below there, but if we do, that's kind of where we.
All right, welcome in. We got an all-star cast today, which I say every day, but everybody here in the basement is pretty much an all-star. We've got the one and only Frankie Candles, the Druth, Drew Wider, the lovely Ali Lee, and the most desired when he's not here. Many people in the comments said they were happy that he's back.
Yes.
It's the beautiful Biscuit Jesus on the board. little nip shot. Yeah, we're having a good time today. We have a little bit of a pullback. Bitcoin coming in at about 26,926.38 cents right now. It is May 31st. We're getting ready to tick over into June. I believe this is going to be a red candle for the month. Isn't that correct, Frank? We've had five. You may or may not know. I'm pretty sure we've had 5 consecutive green months for Bitcoin going into this year, and May, or May could be the 5th one, but we'll have to see where it ends up. Which it's looking really good in the long-term bullish. We do have some more talks going on with the U.S. budget deficit or the debt ceiling coming up tonight. Hopefully that gets locked in. I think that's why there's a little bit of a pullback right now. My anticipation is as soon as that gets voted through, we see some positive price action to the upside. That's what we were covering yesterday. I think that's the result of some of the positive price action. And then now there's talks, maybe it won't get enough votes. Maybe it will, bouncing around there. So we'll have to, I believe that's getting pushed through tonight. And we're going to cover some of that later in the show. We're also going to look at 3 coins or 3 top altcoins that could really boost your gains in the month of June. These are 3 projects. You've probably heard of them, but they're in a very good position technically, fundamentally, and just they've been around. They've got communities, that sort of stuff. So we'll look at those a little bit later into the show. So hopefully you don't have to unretire like some Americans are talking about right now. So
very sad.
But Frank, just before we started, you were talking a little bit about looking at some of the longer time frames, saying you're starting to feel really bullish, over, obviously we're a year out now, from previous all-time high. We bottomed. Now we're 6 months from what a lot of people have called the bottom at, 16K, something like that, pushed back above 20. We did cover previously that this 27, 28K-ish level in terms of dollars is very similar to the 2017 top. Like if you count for inflation, like we're sitting right on there. If you take, the M2 supply compared to Bitcoin, we're sitting right at that top right here around 27, 28. So I guess I'll give you this if you want to do any, I don't know if you have any longer time frame stuff, but just what is it you've been seeing? Tons of candles in the chat. Oh, and I forgot to give everybody else. We got TJ's Chicken Salad, balling on a budget. Love that name. Cali Crypto Dude, Manawalk, the one and only. This is the Bitcoin way. Adam Dyson, TJ's Chicken Salad, Michael Moore, Kino, Crypto Stevo, Brokoshi No Dinero. I like that one. Crimson Caravan Company. I saw Sack Nasty 86 in here earlier. So shout out to all of you guys. While he's pulling that up, I did want to go ahead and announce we're going to be doing a free claim NFT. It's gonna say sub 15K on there. So basically, anybody who was supported the channel, subscribed, been here before 15,000 subscribers will have access to get one of these NFTs. I'm gonna make it part of the YouTube membership things just to kind of limit where we put the link. Cool. Because we can make, once we set up YouTube memberships, we can post a link to members only. And we're also going to tie a Discord into that. I think I alluded to it a little bit yesterday. What we'd like to do is set up a basement Discord that we can pull, that we'll stream this stream in there and pull chat from there in real time, so you guys can be more interactive on the show. Obviously we need you to watch it on YouTube as well, but the people that are in the Discord, your comments can be coming in real time, much more similarly to what we were used to with Twitch.
Yeah.
And so it'll probably be just like what a Twitch sub was. We'll make a sub membership on YouTube, and then if you subscribe there, you get this NFT. You get to be more interactive in the show.
Does the NFT look like this?
No, that's pretty cool. No, I think the NFT is just basically going to be a 3D animated blockchain basement spinning logo, and it'll say sub 15K on there. So it'll be like, I just always wanted, when we had people come up at different meetups and stuff over the years, it'd be really cool to have a marker. We might do another one at 100K or, other, kind of channel breaks, but knowing who was here early, who's been supported from the very beginning is always something valuable to me. Maybe we'll airdrop stuff there in the future. I don't have any plans for the NFT. It's more just a commemorative, like, hey, I was here. Maybe we'll do some fun stuff with it.
Those are good memories, man.
Yeah.
We were all just sitting here wondering, like, if we're going to go to 10K or not, and if another major exchange is going to collapse on us. We're just, sitting in the dark.
We thought Ethereum had a future.
Yeah.
Those funny good old days.
Sure, it still does.
TJ?
Let's go, Frank. What you got?
All right. Yeah, BJ is the ADA Maxi ETH hater, but yes,
You mean the sensible one in the office.
I mean that's what you want to call yourself. But yeah, back to what TJ was saying. It was indeed 4 monthly green candles, and then this one is looking to turn red. But like he was just saying, yesterday on my live stream, I was talking about some of these higher time frames and why I'm feeling really bullish in the long term. And the reason really that I was looking at, I'll kind of just
Hold on, go back to that real quick. I wanted to hang on that monthly thing because he didn't have that up. So zoom back in and go back out to where you just were so you can see 2019. So you see the bottom U shape there, that's 2019. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green candles in a row. And then it goes, and those are monthly candles. And then they're red candles, but they're 1, 2, 3, mostly sideways there for the almost. Keep going. I want to keep going all the way to the end of that range. I would, I just want to see like right there. So that's September 20. So almost for, almost an entire year. And then so this is why if we're entering that chop zone right now, like obviously there was some up and some down in the middle of that, you had some breakouts and some pullbacks, but that's the zone I feel like we're entering right now. Like we saw the uptrend, we're going to see a lot of sideways while they're nailing down US policy, regulation, all that sort of stuff. And then really a year from now, which times out perfectly going into the Bitcoin halving, it should get a lot of fun. Yeah, 100%. TJ, I was actually thinking of you last night on my live stream because I remember talking to you in the office or maybe it was on the show. You were saying, how kind of this area is reminding you of this area here where we were at between like, 6 and 10K, but just kind of hovering around that level for what felt like forever. And we were talking about how we feel like the boring part of the bear market never happened. Yep. And when I was talking about this yesterday on the live stream, I was thinking about you and I was like, yeah, this might be that new choppy, boring range. But one of the things I was looking at last night on my live stream was, when I first started my channel, everyone was asking, when are you going to start DCAing in? And the simplest kind of strategy that I was looking at was using Market Cipher, just looking at the weekly time frame and any time that the money flow was in the red. And if you just look at it quickly, I'll just go over it super quick. Anytime the weekly money flow was in the red, it was essentially the bottom of a bear market. Like you would have been buying the bottom right here, and then you went into the bull market, you were in the green, came back into the red, you literally would have been buying the bottom of the bear market. And then we came up into the 2021 bull run, and now we are in the red here. Money flow starting to come back up. It does look like to me that, if history does repeat itself, even if it rhymes, it looks like the bulk of this pain is really over as we work our way up here. Now, like TJ was just saying, and it doesn't mean that we're going to go straight to 100K, but it does look like, the horrible pain of the bear market is probably or likely over. Just looking at this, and this is like one of like the 7 things I looked at yesterday. We're back above the 200 week. We've bullishly retested and held that level as support, which is huge. And on top of that, if I go ahead and show this, I'm not going to go over all this, but this is like a cycle chart that I put together measuring. Dang, that's cool.
Yeah, this is really cool. This is I shared this in the premium live stream, premium Discord, but basically all I did was really nothing that special. I just basically measured the cycle, like from the halving to the all-time high, how long that took, how long it took to go from the top of the bull market to the bottom of the bear market. And these numbers line up like so eerily similar. From the cycle bottom, the cycle bottom here in this cycle came 777 days after the halving. And then in the 2016-2017 cycle, the bottom came 882 days after the halving, so almost exactly 100 days longer. And then in this cycle, from the halving to the bottom, if that 15-ish $1,000 was the bottom, 924 days. And then on top of that, from the all-time highs to the bottom of the bear market, in this cycle, that wound up being 413 days. In this cycle, it was 364 days. And in our current cycle, it was also 364 days. So in my opinion, just from a timing and cycle perspective, if unless the 4-year cycle is going to completely break, the bear market is very likely, or the bottom is very likely in. And we may be starting that boring accumulation phase. And then here's that next halving. And then that is likely where I would expect price to really start taking. So definitely feeling bullish in the long term.
Yeah, no, that's a great analysis. Thanks for sharing that.
We got a super chat from American Pool Guy.
Oh, nice.
Congrats and God bless TJ and Tim. Keep increasing the common sense population. To the group, which banks do you think are going to be ultimately funneled into?
That's right. So he's referring to Tim Warren also having a baby. So yeah, we're trying to bring more Bitcoiners into the world. When he's talking about banks, things funneling into, I assume he's talking about as these smaller banks collapse, which banks do we see these assets funneling up into? Obviously, a very a clear one. This is what I'd say. Look at who owns the Federal Reserve. Yeah. JP Morgan Chase, Citi, I think is another one that has the most, those two own the most of what the Federal Reserve is. Obviously, a lot of assets funnel that way, but the good assets also funnel into JP Morgan and Citi's actual banks. So those would be two I would keep an eye on. I'm sure Morgan Stanley's in the mix, and there's
BNY Mellon is one that's a big one.
It is a big one. It's the oldest bank in the United States, and it's extremely that's who banks Circle. That's who banks a lot of Goldman Sachs. People close to the middle of the circle are using BNY Mellon and have been for a very long time. That's a good sleeper pick, good one to keep an eye on. So there you go.
Another question from Joe Ryan. TJ, would you buy Optimism? How much?
I would buy Optimism. I have bought Optimism. And actually, there might be a story in here today. Here we go. I'll cover it right now. Optimism token price slides 7% ahead of a 580 million OP unlock, doubling the token supply. This is something you need to be aware of when you're buying tokens. We talk about it a lot on this channel, the tokenomics. 580 million OP, doubling the supply is something to keep an eye on. That being said, it doesn't always have an immediate impact. A lot of times these unlocks are going to team members who aren't incentivized to dump it all right away. But it just kind of depends on the project. So OP, yes, it's one I'm accumulating for long term, but when and where you buy it is key. I do think it's going to perform extremely well in 24 and 25. So I think I have, I want to say around $10,000-ish dollar-wise right now. I'm not sure what that translates into in OP, but it is in one of the ones that I accumulate. So if I have extra cash on the sidelines and I'm going to make a buy and I look at it and it's in a decent spot, like maybe after this token unlock happens, maybe I'll scoop some more when there's a decent pullback. Let's see where it's coming in right now. Just
like it hit $1.30 or something this morning.
Crypto Stevo said, I would not buy OP.
Yeah, he hates it. He hates OP and Sui, because of the token unlocks, which
I would say I'm bullish on OP as well. The one thing is the tokenomics. A lot of people compare it to Matic, but Matic's tokenomics are much better, at least at this point. So yeah, the tokenomics are the one thing I don't really like. But like you said, TJ, sometimes it goes to team members that aren't incentivized to just instantly dump it. So it's not always that bad, but it's kind of hard to judge. So. Yeah.
Chad, no, I'm not planning to come to Charlotte on the 16th, as far as I know. But so, okay, OP, coming in at $1.39 right now. I mean, from a technical level, it's getting close to, maybe at $1.30, even. Technically it looks like it's finding some support there, but, that's something to keep an eye on. And as far as those token unlocks go, and the initial vesting period for early investors and contributors ends today. That's another really important thing. Means once they're vested, they can start selling and will nearly double the circulating supply of tokens. Tokens worth over 587 million of Ethereum scaling protocol Optimism are set to be released into the open market on Tuesday as part of the planned unlock plan, leading to the price OP tokens falling 7%. So this was as of yesterday.
June 6th, Tuesday? Or yesterday, Tuesday.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
This was
so not D-Day.
No. So this just happened, and you can already see, the result in the price. If you just go, let's go to the 7-day, like boom, here you go. happened yesterday. You know, you get the unlock. So, but this is a strategy where you get a lot of people selling on the unlock. The unlock does its thing. It bounces from the bottom. So you know, if you had a buy order in, see, it looks like it bounced pretty good right off of 134, which from a technical level, when we were looking at this, I'll go 134. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it dumped right to a support. And if you put in a buy order, you get accumulation. I like the project long term, but it's just something you want to be wary of when you're making your purchases. So it's just like you need to be aware of the Fed, right? What the Fed's going to do will impact prices in the short term and in the long term, just depending on which direction they're going. But Bitcoin recedes to 27K as Fed's Meister favors unabated tightening. Talking about Jerome Powell. I don't see a compelling reason to pause rate hikes. Valid
sentence.
Yeah.
Mester and unabated.
I know. Mester and unabated tightening.
Oh, yeah.
Bullish. Yeah, so I'm expecting another raise. We've talked about it a lot with the Treasury. Bitcoin ran into selling pressure early Wednesdays after the Federal Reserve official said there's no compelling case to halt the liquidity tightening. The Fed's unrelenting tightening has rolled risk assets, including cryptocurrencies. We've covered it a lot. I think they're going to raise it again. The Treasury is expected to issue $1 trillion in T-bills before June 30th. Basically, in the next 30 days, they're about to issue $1 trillion. So I have a feeling that's going to start to impact markets some. If you're talking about liquidity, it will use half of it to refill its cash by $500 billion in 31 days, on pace for a refill as fast as the March 2020 crash and December 2021 top. Old habits die hard or not.
I just want to make a chart. The rate at which the U.S. is seizing or buying Bitcoin, and the rate at which they're just completely destroying the dollar.
Yeah,
it's almost like they are planning something.
That is interesting. That is interesting.
Yeah.
So here's 4 months to refill in 2020, just straight up, and this is what. And then they've basically drew it all down, and they're running out. Obviously, they're trending towards zero here. Now they're about to refill 500 billion in a month. So if
they drew it down?
Yeah, they drew it down. That's pretty good. Something to keep an eye on there. Let's see, not by June 30. Let's see, physically Treasury borrowing. Okay, so that was all that. I've got a video. Are you ready for that, BJ?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. I got a Kiyosaki video. I don't agree with everything he says, but generally speaking, he's in the right direction. So let me see if this is going to...
I'm going to be an idiot. That is Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, yes.
This guy Biden.
This is one... I'll point it out afterwards, but he loves... I don't think it's any one party's fault. I'll just go ahead and say that before we start. And then don't talk while I'm doing this, right?
Criminal. He's a criminal. What he's, his very first act, the very first day, was to cancel the Keystone XL pipeline. So the moment he cut that pipeline, I'm selling oil at $30 a barrel. The next day was $130 a barrel. So the good news is I'm getting extremely rich, but he's crushing the middle class. And by crushing the middle class, we come to a two-class society, rich and poor. And that's the basis of revolution. They're going to print so much of this, they're going to destroy the dollar. This is trash right now. The BRICS are going to do is Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Saudi Arabia. Is 60% of the world's population will dump this. And that's why I say the three times crash. Number one is going to be stocks and bonds, because interest rates go up. It's going to wipe out these guys, my generation, with 401ks, the worst thing you can ever do. It's just terrible what they're doing. And then the second is real estate. So the homeowner, my generation, they bought their home and they say they bought it at $1 million. And they're upside down in the debt to equity structure and financing. And the third is this thing.
Kiyosaki for president.
I don't like horror films. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate, one of the things I appreciate about his passion and his conviction. I mean, it is sad to see. I mean, especially, it is interesting. He's on the beneficial side of it, right? And a lot of people are, and which is why they're a lot more silent as to what's going on, because it's benefiting them. Look, if you hold a lot of oil and it went from $30 to $130, you got super rich overnight. You know, and that's what they'd say with assets. Like if you held a lot of assets pre 2019 and they turned that money printer on, you got super rich between 2019 and 2021. And if you knew that the tightening was coming and you unloaded a lot of those assets at the top, like a lot of the smartest and richest people in the world did before the Federal Reserve started tightening their policy, you got super rich. It wiped everybody else out, and now you're coming in right now and you're buying the bottom. And that's exactly what he's talking about. It's creating this class separation, and it's going to create a lot of social unrest. And we're seeing it. We've seen it in small pockets already in the United States, definitely in France. You know, they're not afraid of revolution. They've done it before. We're starting to see that more and more in Europe and in the United States. And the more we have irresponsible fiscal policy, it becomes an unavoidable math problem, which we're going to look at here in just a second. Now, the one thing I will say to Kiyosaki, this is how I feel. Anytime I see anybody blaming one political party for what's happening in the government or the world, this is how I feel. It says me waiting for people to realize politicians are just unattractive actors doing what they're told.
Exactly.
That is my political view.
That is my
my political view.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I have a question for you from Maddie C. TJ, didn't you say you got out of your 401k a long time ago? Was it difficult to do? I'm 90 out of 10 leaning to get out of mine. Yeah,
it is easy to do. And I did get out of my 401k years ago. Maddie C, there's a couple different ways you can do it. It depends on if like obviously they get grouped. If it's within your current job and you're within a group plan, there's some ways you can change that around, but it's going to depend on the way your plan works. If you're rolling over, if you're transferring, if you're self-directed, it's extremely easy. I would highly recommend, we work with iTrust Capital. I've known the guys there for years. They're doing a really good job. Their security is top notch. The way they custody things are top notch. It's basically what you would get as a self-directed IRA when you could, it's not the same as a 401k, but it will give you this similar tax benefits where you can defer all your gains from that into the future. Like I said, it's a self-directed IRA. Where's his name? Maddie C. Yeah, look up iTrust Capital, and it's just one word, itrustcapital.com, and you can do that. I've known several people that have used it, and it's great. So there you go. And
I'm having too much fun here.
You're having a blast?
Well, Frankie confirmed my bias.
What's that?
So I put a 50x.
Uh-oh, let's go.
It's been going great.
Oh my goodness.
I'm trying to turn $30 into something fun.
He's crushing it
This
too.
is the man who did a 50x.
$40.
Hey.
Right.
It's going to be a story someday. How, I'm just, so I don't know. I just feel like, we've already had our really ugly moment. Yeah, something is going to go really bad across the sea in the next 6 months, but I don't know, man. Like a lot of people are just going to be sitting here waiting for further down or 19K or something like that. And it's going to be the same thing as everyone waiting for 3K during the panties.
Yeah. Or 100K in the bull run.
Are you talking Bitcoin?
Panties?
Yeah. In the panties. Straight in the panties. Yep.
Real quick, I'm going to come back to the story about what the policy is doing, but real quick, we got 265 people watching right now, only 93 likes. If you guys don't mind, stop what you're doing, smash that like button, help more people learn about changing their financial future. We really, really appreciate that.
I just smashed the like.
You just smashed the like.
What?
BJ, you can smash the like over there too.
Hell yeah. Wait, I can?
Everybody do. We can all be likes together. Wait, I don't know. That sounds weird. Never
Wait,
mind.
we're smashing in the basement?
Uh-oh.
Hell
boy.
yeah.
Not right now.
That should get the
Maybe
news.
later. Okay. So this is David Sachs from the All In Podcast. I have mixed feelings on the All In Podcast. I think there's some good information on there, some less than good information on there. But this was, I thought, a pretty good breakdown of his analysis of what the Fed is doing with the interest rate hiking. So Kiyosaki was breaking down kind of what's been happening up until this point with the printing. Then he said, then they're going to hike the interest rates. He talked about the effects that was going to have on real estate. So he breaks that down in a similar way right here. I'm just going to read through this. Elon Musk was commenting on this the other day. So he said, when the Fed spiked interest rates from 0 to 5% over the past year, it had three main effects. One, undercut value of bonds, especially long-dated bonds. Now, this is this scenario we've been talking about with the regional and the smaller banks that had long-term bonds, and they were having to take major losses on it. They knew when they raised rates extremely fast, that's basically undercutting these assets that a lot of, that had billions and billions of dollars sitting in them that were going to create huge losses for banks. It made lending more expensive, obviously, particularly for large purchases like real estate that have to be financed, which is the second thing Kiyosaki was talking about there. It's going to not wipe out the real estate, and it increased government borrowing costs. He said these effects are just math, and they have to play out through the financial system. I think they will roughly correspond to the 3 stages of financial crisis we're in. 1, small regional bank crisis precipitated by unrealized loss on long-dated bonds. That's what I just mentioned. CRE crisis precipitated by credit markets seizing up for new loans and impairment of existing CRE loan portfolios, which are also unrealized losses. Government debt crisis, which is what we're starting to experience right now, which is the really scary one, precipitated by spike in debt service costs at a federal level, budget deficits at a state level and local level, and sovereign debt issues at an international level. And that's what we're approaching right now, especially as we head into 2024. I covered the loan maturation or the debt maturation that's going to be hitting in 2024 for the United States, where our loan prices are, going to go up through the roof. What's going on
Don't
over
ask
there?
him what he's laughing about. I don't want to know.
Yeah, I can't. I'm trying to talk about something important. BJ's dying over there.
I'm shilling our merch.
Oh, I see.
We'll just put it that way.
I see. We're seeing the first stage of that play out right now with the banks. The second and third stages are yet to come. Disclaimer: magnitudes are hard to calculate, and I make no. So he didn't really. So he updated this the other day. Balance sheet risk for mismanaged states and municipalities have been hiding in plain sight in Silicon Valley Bank. We've got a $1 trillion wall of debt looming for U.S. commercial properties. Morgan Stanley sees refinancing risks front and center. Office retail property valuations could fall as much as 40%. He was sharing this as of April 8th. Another update, May 29th. LA office towers are selling for less than the amount of debt on them. This is true for San Francisco, other big cities as well. Elon Musk came in and commented on this. He says he basically agrees with exactly this. And here's another fun meme for you guys from my new favorite meme account, Declaration of Memes. If the government is allowed to break the law during emergencies, then they'll create emergencies to break the law.
Easy.
Duh. Incentives.
They would never
There
do
it is.
such a thing.
I
feel like Kiyosaki's been like on the money, but he's been like correct way too far ahead of time.
Right.
I feel like so he's like waiting for something that is going to
Kind of
happen.
like Orson Welles.
Yeah, basically, it's like he sees the debt bubble coming. He's been talking about it. He's been exercising. Look, you can create money out of nothing. Just take more and more debt. Look how easy this is. He kind of has had an interesting history on how he's explaining it to the public what's going on. I think he's accurate in what he's saying, but I think it'll take a little bit longer than he's predicting to get there.
I agree.
Because we'll scramble and try to find new use cases for these empty buildings. Maybe we'll put all the people that are punching people in the back of the heads into the buildings for free, and then provide them with all of their necessities on your dollar at home, and that'll work out just fine.
What if Robert Kiyosaki is Satoshi?
Ooh, yeah. That would shock
That'd be
me.
interesting. Yeah.
It doesn't strike me as the most technically capable.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. Feigning ignorance.
Exactly.
That's a good one. Crypt Chemistry Bro is asking if we can make some minimal merch, just like simple ETH symbol on the left chest spot on a hoodie. Yes, I that is something I'd be interested in.
Well, we would do it, but we wouldn't know what to charge because the fees would be non-deterministic on that shirt.
Oh my gosh.
That's a good one. It's good. Blockchain jokes are fun, man. So yeah, actually, I would like that because I'm kind of into the minimalist stuff too. So maybe we make some minimal basement stuff. Yeah, I'm into that idea.
Also, buy the basement mug. I put it in the chat.
The basement. God, that's
Show your basement drip.
yeah. Here, guys, come on, everybody. Don't you want to take a sip out of that? Come on. All right, a couple more things. So covering this debt deal, there's some interesting stuff in here. Let's see if we want to cover this. Basically, I think we touched on this. Goldman Sachs says the Treasury Department will have to quickly raise $1 trillion if and when the debt deal is approved. Liquidity will be drained from the market to purchase these treasuries. Funds will flow out of stocks and bank accounts to purchase this debt if investors want it. Can the market handle it as debt limit talks intensify? The U.S. may have. Yeah. So basically, they're having to raise that $1 trillion very quickly, and it's going to be interesting to see where that $1 trillion comes from.
Crypto Steve-O, just as a thing.
Breaking news. Cumberland halts Filecoin trading. Citing.
Get out of here. Regulatory environment. I'll drop it in the chat and maybe look at.
Let me pull that up. Regulatory environment. That's interesting.
You got it, or do I need to put it in the thing?
I can find it.
There, I'll put it in our convenient Slack channel.
But you got to take me off the screen. Everybody.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah, regulatory environment's been cited for a couple pullouts. We saw the Binance having to pull out of France on a few coins. I think it was Monero and a few other privacy coins. Saw Binance kind of hold off on that this morning, which sucks to see. But yeah, it's just this whole gray area that we're stuck in right now, and these exchanges are trying to play it safe and keep their bottom line coming in, kind of stay operational. So
yeah, and this is just the OTC desk basically talking about not trading it as being precautionary due to the regulatory environment. I don't know if this is the biggest news or not. It's not like, Cumberland on OTC desk saying this. Now, if they start to get delisted from a lot of different exchanges, that's something to keep an eye on. But to Drew's point, like he said, there is been a big regulatory environment obscurity for a lot of projects, and I think that's holding a lot of things back. And that's go ahead.
Who else feels like that? I think we've discussed this where that seems like a very orchestrated narrative in the sense that it's bear market, it's the best time to buy. A lot of people are seeing how screwed up the economy is, where our dollars are going, so they start looking into crypto and being like, okay, this actually might be a way out. And so they're not really able to stop that mentality. Mm-hmm. And you start creating this massive gray area to where people really do second guess their potential way of getting out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's like, they're obviously not going to ban it. They're not going to get rid of it. The United States is the largest investor in Bitcoin, or investor, Caesar, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Holder. But it's not going away. And then, like I was alluding to earlier, it's like there's almost a narrative there where it's like you're crushing the dollar. You're crushing the dollar. You know that you're losing dominance. You know where you hold basically the kitty, if you will, with Bitcoin.
It's like a controlled demolition. A lot of people could say. We also hold the most Bitcoin nodes. We have a lot of the hash rate.
Right.
I'll save this for. Well,
we should get a nice little like plant or like a bush and put it over there in the corner.
Where, over here? This corner?
Sorry, that was a joke everyone missed, and I'm not.
I did. I was totally. Yeah. It sucks that we're making all these decisions based on fear. Like every time you make a choice based on fear, it's usually the wrong one.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
So to see these exchanges just pucker up just in case, and it just reminds me of so many things we've seen over the last few years. People staying inside just in case, right? A lot of choices we've made in the recent past, just from the fear of what might happen from federal regulators or, the SEC, just all these alphabet soup agencies. It really is a poor thought process to basically just operate in a position where you're just afraid of something happening. It's the best defense is a good offense. So,
and unfortunately for a lot of us here is both our government and the idea they push on a lot of our citizens is to be reactive and responsive instead of proactive, and be defensive instead of offensive. So
it's like that classic line. It's like you look at, for example, like an abusive relationship. And what a lot of people will say is they feared leaving more than they did staying. And that's where I think a lot of people are with being in USD and staying in TradFi.
Yeah. It's a great way to say, you're a slave to the system, but you're comfortable in it, and you're more comfortable being a slave to this system than being free in an unknown world where,
complacency is probably the most dangerous drug. Just saying.
There you go. That's why they say a salary can be. But all right, here we go. So part of the debt deal. This is a very interesting caveat. There's a lot of interesting little details within this raising the debt limit deal, but this is one I didn't realize until the other day. So as a part of the deal, the pause on student loan payments will end likely on September 1. Few facts about student loans. At one point, I don't know if this is still true, but at one point, student loan debt was the #1 asset on the U.S. balance sheet. Which is why the fact that they were going to say like, "Oh, we're just going to forgive it," is a complete joke because they can't. But they can talk about it, they can pause it, they can use it to give votes, and now they're about to unpause it. So payments and interest accumulation pause has been in effect since March of 2020. $1.63 trillion in outstanding federal student loan debt. Our students in the United States owe $1.6 trillion.
I think I have an air horn for that.
That's insane. That's literally putting the future, just saddling your future with debt. Just here, we're gonna just load it up with debt, and we're gonna borrow against it at an insane rate. The pause costs taxpayers about $5 billion every month, according to the House Republicans. 43.5 million borrowers owe an average of $37,000. So on average, we're talking about $40,000 people are owing in student loans. 4.8 million federal loan borrowers in default, meaning they're not making the payments. Student loan forgiveness plan proposed by Biden is still on the table, which the Supreme Court will rule on. How many people will be able to make these payments when they start back up?
This is crazy, man. I used to be in HR or headhunting, and I used to talk to people about their careers and how to utilize their degrees. And from my standpoint, basically half, maybe even 60% of the people that had a degree didn't use it and were unhireable, like in the field that they were trying to get into. It's really, I've seen a lot, hundreds, maybe even 1,000 or 2,000 people just basically waste all of that experience and all that time they spent. They go get this degree and then you just go, bartending, because then it's not what you wanted to do. You just went there for fun and to be social, and you were told that that's the normal thing to do. That's the process. You go through the process, and then you end up at the end of it with no real sociological intelligence, or no way to actually navigate the workforce, because you're just fed all these spoon-fed talking points from your professors that are reading out of a book that's 50 years old. Now you have the internet. Now you have AI. Like, how useful is a college education going to be unless you're going to be a doctor in 10 years when AI can spit out information in live time on any question you have, basically?
It's one of the biggest scams ever created, in my opinion. And like you just said, it's not just that you're sitting, you basically get to start off your life now in debt. And like you said, most people don't use their degrees. And on top of that, even worse than being in financial debt is you waste some of the most important years of your life that you could be using to develop actual skills or go work in an actual field and develop real experience, not to just get a worthless piece of paper. Now, obviously, doctors, lawyers, shout out to chemistry, bro. If you're trying to do something like that, obviously, education in school comes in handy, but like a lot of people like going to school for liberal arts or whatever it is.
He said, I probably won't even use my chem degrees. Not at first anyway. He's going to do crypto trading and 3D print business.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the truth. And I think 90% of people who do wind up going to college would do a lot better spending that time actually diving deep into an industry they're actually interested in and actually working in the industry, following someone who actually is doing what they want to do, rather than listening to, like Drew just said, a professor sitting in front of a class reading a book that's never, like your business professor likely never had a business, right? Like for me, I went to college for like media and like video production and stuff like that. And I was lucky because I knew someone actually doing what I wanted to do. And all the people in my school that were teaching me had never been on a real film set. The guy I was working with, like I was on real commercial sets and correcting my professors. And it's like, these people are getting paid a ton of money to sit here and teach people incorrect, outdated ideas. It's the biggest scam ever created. And especially with the internet and AI, they're in bigger danger than they've ever been.
Great point. I mean, especially with the internet, there's so much more information, experience, knowledge at our fingertips today. And if you know how to go find it and get it and learn from it, you can do all sorts of things. You don't need to be spoon-fed. I'll say go back in time a little while, pre-internet, especially before there was federal backing for these student loans. Right. And you can go look on a chart and see exactly when the federal government got involved with backing the loans, and the price of college tuition just skyrocketed. So if the prices of college were in range with where they were 20 or so years ago, then it's not nearly as bad of a value misalignment, I guess you could say. I mean, where did it go? Somebody said, 1.6 trillion, that's not going to assets, investments, anything else. It's just going into schooling. Like you were saying, Frank, like if the average of those people have $40,000 in debt, imagine what happens if at 20 years old, instead of going negative $40,000 in debt, you invested 40 grand, right? And and started to work, in an apprenticeship or any type of thing. Like, you'd be in a way better position at 32, 34, 40 than you would be, even if you lost half of your investment. Even if you invested in something and it went to zero, at least the value gain of experience and understanding how things work from doing it, you could carry that with you for the rest of your life. Where a lot of times when you're being taught in a controlled environment about things that don't happen in a controlled environment, once you get out into the real world, it becomes not useless, but far less useful than you were sold that it would be, in my opinion. Yeah, so, and it's resulting, and especially when you get this really bad economic policy, we've got this situation now where a lot of Americans are forced to unretire. Reckless spending and inflation are forcing many Americans to unretire. Out of control government spending. We're borrowing from tomorrow to fund the reckless spending habits of today. I was talking about, people in 2019, they watched the big blow up of their assets in 2020 and 2021. They got, hey, I have plenty to retire now. And then you can come off of the screen, BJ.
Oh God. Don't tell me how to, never mind.
They had plenty to retire by 2020.
Yeah.
And then, so it's like, oh, great. I have plenty. I can live on a small percentage of this. No problem. Don't have to draw down on the principal. Well, then all of a sudden 2022 happened, and all of that stuff that on paper, they were a millionaire. They just, lost 50% of their portfolio. It's like, oh, now I retired and I don't know if I'm going to have enough to retire. I need to go back to work. Which is just, and that's what Kiyosaki was talking about. Extremely sad. People that have been working and working and working and saving and saving and saving for their entire life.
Engineering degrees. I know a very close family member that is engineer degreed, and they're having to look around the workforce, even though they did everything right, own multiple homes, and then this out of control spending happened over the last few years. They never imagined that they would have to go back in the workforce after building a multinational technological manufacturing company, basically helping it from the ground up. Put together hundreds of thousands in savings, and basically, there's no real outlook to retire for that person. And another person I know is into medical research. And again, she's located in the hellhole of California that is basically too expensive to live. And even though she's an upper class, top echelon earner, there's no outlook to retire there. And her son and, that wife can't imagine a life where they own a house and have a baby and can afford their life. It's a situation I'm begging them to leave and go find land that they can afford right out of the gates, because $100,000 goes a real long way in Wyoming compared to California. So you got to think about that too.
Good point.
So do you have to run away at 2:00, TJ?
We're gonna wrap it. I got one more. The main story I want to talk about here. Well, we're gonna get to it in just a second. I do want to read something from the chat here first. Or to just say, Dago said, amusing topic. And I know somebody else who had this exact same experience. He said, I went to college, got a business degree while I was managing a business, and found most of what they teach is not practical in actually running a business. That was kind of what Drew was saying, or Frank, where they're like, these guys are teaching you what to do, but they've never actually done it. Yeah. I had very similar experience where, there's a friend of mine, they had a family business that they've been running for years. He'd been coming up. He was going to be taking the business over. It was his dad started it. And his dad's like, oh yeah, go to school, get a degree. He said he went, started learning it. And he's like, dude, I just brought the books home, and in 3 months took everything valuable out of the books and was like, all right, I don't need to continue paying for this class. I know what I need to do. Let's just go do it.
Right. It's funny when they don't know. Like the first paper that I'm technically published on, they basically it's known as a slipped capital femoral epiphysiolysis. That's a big term for basically young boys. Typically, when they fall, instead of the femur popping out, it will actually break at the growth plate or the epiphysis, and it will pop out.
Ouch.
And the paper was discussing a certain procedure of basically doing a elongation of the joint and basically screwing it back together. And they were like, oh, this doesn't work very well because you have a lot of necrosis, so basically bone death. And I looked at it and I was like, why are you guys putting 12 screws in here? And all your subjects in here have more screws than bone there. And they're like, oh, well, that's not relevant. And I was like, really?
Seems relevant to me.
Like, just, okay, like I'm not done with school, but how do you guys not see it? So back to like the business thing, it's like, how are you guys here doing this when you don't know what the hell you're talking about?
Totally.
Like,
and Dago did say still worth it though. Did it for my mom. Her smile made it all worth it. And there's totally good reasons to do it. Ben had a similar experience. It was more just a personal accomplishment thing for him. Like I just wanted to do it, as to prove it to myself. I know you got a degree, similar reasons.
Practicing reproduction.
What?
What?
That's not a degree, Drew.
No, I mean it's just part of the college process.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
The horizontal poco.
That's in-depth anatomy. That's what they call that. Yeah. That's anatomy 401. Yeah. Top three.
You mean 404? Oh.
never mind.
Oh, what? Top three.
No, this is what I was gonna say. So if you don't want to have to unretire in the future, like many Americans are doing right now, you want to be getting into crypto, you want to be making those gains, you want to retire once and stay retired, or at least play with crypto for the rest of your life. This is a good article on top 3 cryptocurrencies to maximize your investment returns in June 2023. I'll be really curious. There's 3 coins in here. You definitely know all 3 of them. They're all top. Probably they're definitely all top 100. I'd say top 50. But
Okay.
what do you think? Any guesses on sneaky picks for June accumulation?
Dylon. Oh, I thought you were asking the 5 best rappers of all time. Sorry.
Let us know in the chat too if you have any guesses. Top 3 coins to maximize investment returns in June.
I feel like XRP's got to be one of them.
Okay,
I mean,
you're picking XRP. Frank, you have a pick?
I was gonna pick XRP, but I'll go with Matic.
Anybody else? Any other guesses?
I'm going ADA and Optimism.
Okay. Allie, any guesses?
Attic, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know.
So here we go. One of them was definitely guessed. Top 3 cryptocurrencies to maximize your investment returns in June. While the market participants remain uncertain if the recent growth in the crypto markets is stable or not, here's some of the top which have maintained their bullish outlook. Boom. First one. BJ's favorite. Cardano. It's been in this, looks like a rising wedge pattern here for a little while. Is that what that's called, Frank? Is that considered a rising wedge?
Yeah, we're ascending channel. Maybe.
Ascending channel. There you go. Yeah, it says it right there. Amid the rising selling pressure in the crypto market, the falling ADA price will likely plunge back to the support trend line of the rising channel pattern. This chart pattern maintains a strong uptrend in Cardano price for the past 5 months, and therefore its lower trend line is likely a key support and bullish sentiment around 37 cents. So it's getting ready to touch that right now. I will say, to be careful on TA with altcoins because Bitcoin still rules it all. So Bitcoin is also coming down to something similar like this, and if it falls through it, the altcoins will as well. But here's some, again, that the top of this channel obviously looks like it's coming in around closer to 50 cents. Seems about right for Cardano, the current range.
TA aside, I mean, all the stuff that's popping out with Marlo and Marlo's playground.
Everybody's on that snake, right?
And Snake and the Hydra heads coming. It's like, I think at some point this will go pseudo parabolic.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the hope. I mean, granted, there could be some issues. And then CIP 0094, the vote for changing the K parameters from 500 to 1,000.
For the pools?
Just got voted on. One thing I actually am not positive is, does that vote, the majority on that, dictate what's actually going to happen, or was it more of a suggestion? If anybody in the chat actually knows that, I'm not positive on that.
Now you're talking about the K parameters for the stake pools, right?
Yeah. So right now it's set at 500. So if you take the total amount of ADA and divide it by 500, that's the saturation point of the pools, which is roughly somewhere between 64 and 68 million. So once a pool has more than that, it has reduced rewards, and then people are incentivized to go to other pools like B pool or NES pool.
There you go.
If it goes to 1,000, that will mean that the saturation point, I think, comes down to roughly around like 32 million. So that's a couple 100 million ADA that needs to, at that point, be redistributed across other pools. But it also creates more decentralization and more pools.
There you go.
We good?
And then, let's see, I was going to do...
I was
Solana.
Ali,
Solana's
whatever.
the number 2.
I'm
And
not
this-
let's go. My Solana bag's gonna come back.
Yeah.
I
rooting
I
for you,
DCA'd
Frankie.
into Solana for a month and then it went to 0.
Oh, wow.
But then I made my money back buying Solana 3x long tokens plus some. But my original Solana's still down.
Accidentally.
And I know,
Yes.
Crypto
Yes.
Stevo in the chat, big fan of Solana. This one's a little interesting one because obviously it's got a little bit of a bad rap with SBF being, so closely tied to it in the past. Clearly they're not the same, obviously. But Alameda, SBF, FTX, big backers of it, had a lot of money invested in it. So it's, it's brand association at this point. Hey,
Tom
Crown in the chat.
Hold
Look at
on, it
that.
seems relevant. Hold on. And why I bring up this meme. The other nice
Wait, I have
thing.
to say it. Litecoin. There he is. There he is.
That's amazing. You had that ready to go.
Yeah.
It's always there.
ready.
Anytime somebody says Litecoin 3 times, Tom Crown appears.
I love it.
So Solana's an interesting one. I kind of like it as a sneaky pick. I mean, look at this all-time chart. Oh gosh,
I'm bullish on it because it's
Look at
based off of Rust. Like, I still think
Yep.
some crypto protocol with Rust will have extreme dominance.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much. I mean, what does it sit? Yeah, it is about as low as it could pretty much get at this point. I don't know what they're expecting to happen. Let's see. What are they expecting to happen in June? I don't know necessarily. I guess they're just looking at it on TA. Like this is a descending channel, right? Or wedge?
Yeah, that is a falling wedge.
Falling. Okay, so this is a falling wedge.
It's a falling knife.
But that's a rising. Okay, I can see why. That makes sense. Never mind.
Yeah, they're kind of hard because sometimes they
argue
pinch.
about it, but I'm like, no, I see it. That makes sense. Okay, so on May 27th, Solana price gave a massive breakout from the resistance trend line of the wedge pattern. This breakout is an early sign for the uptrend resumption of the surge price weekly top of 21.24. Oh, I'm actually giving away the next one. So I don't know. I think Solana is an interesting one to keep an eye on. If they can break away from that, if they could, obviously all the blockchain pauses, not interesting to me on a layer one that pauses all the time. I don't know. It's just one to keep an eye on.
Michael Moore said, let's face it, we all kind of like it because we all know it's going to pump again at some point.
I know.
That's kind of how I feel, honestly.
And we
That's
can't
kind of how I feel too.
Yeah, I mean, it's tied to SBF, but look, who's our president right now? You can expect Solana to make some money.
Yeah,
Probably.
And I don't know. There's just a lot out there though that I feel like is going to pump, and But if put it this way, if I'm in this, I would show this when I build. I'm probably going to build like a smart contract platform portfolio that we could come back and reference from time to time on this channel. I would put Solana in that. I would, it's just
It's a competitor.
it's within that discussion. And by 24, 25, it will be probably a higher price than it is now.
Yeah.
And then the last one, this is also an interesting one, Uniswap.
What?
I mean,
Which
this makes perfect sense.
this makes sense to you? Okay, why do you like Uniswap?
Unicorns and rainbows are all the rage these days.
That is true. He's not
Especially
wrong.
in the month of June.
They'll probably be offering it at Target aisles soon. It's going to be great.
Jesus.
I'm sorry. I had to.
Yeah, let me see. Uni was an
I
interesting one
use
to me.
Uniswap though. Like I
Yeah.
know.
Well, obviously, yeah, it's got a lot of utility. Tons of people use it.
Yeah.
And if you look at, it launched right at the perfect time in 21, where it's basically came out. It was in 2020 DeFi summer. Everybody got this airdrop and just went straight up in a line. And then pretty much fell, and it's at a really good level right now. So if you believe in the, that it's gonna be there in 2022. Now, my question is, let me see, where's the 60% almost circulating supply. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So if it can get anywhere close to back to $40, solid, 8x or whatever from here. I think it's a good pick. I'm not so sure about this being in the month of June, but long term for the next year or two, I definitely think this one is going to be extremely strong. So I don't know. I'm curious why they think this is going to happen in June, according to this article, or if they're just doing that for SEO purposes. Because in my mind, we're probably going to get another rate hike in June, which keeps things pretty tight. I don't see any big breakouts for Bitcoin. If anything, it's probably, like Frank mentioned at the beginning of the stream, staying in a pretty tight range. But those are three strong things you can keep an eye on. Maybe add to your portfolio altcoin projects that have community, decent tokenomics, utility, users, and that's used to be extremely rare in crypto and in Web3. It's getting more and more common, and finding and sticking with those ones that can survive through multiple bear markets. It may not be the sexiest pick. It may not be your 20x that comes out of nowhere, but I think if more people that were investing in crypto would get comfortable with a 5x, which again is insane, you don't get that anywhere else.
Yeah.
Then people would have a much better experience if, like, look, I'm just trying to hit 5x after 5x after 5x. You do that for 3 or 4 years, 4 or 8 years, you're going to be in great shape. You don't have to make it all tomorrow or next year or the next 2 years. So
Why did so many people say XRP?
I was just saying that
people
the
think
lawsuit.
XRP because the case is close to ending. It's imminent. Could be any time in the next few weeks. So I think a lot of people, but they've been saying that for
Ever.
years now.
It's since
So I think that's
2021.
what people are thinking. Like, oh, the case ends in June. It's super bullish. Gets a big pump, and then.
Okay.
But if that does close within this flatline market, I feel like we're in right now, it's gonna be sick. So I'll be taking profits.
It's definitely a top accumulator. That a lot of people like. It's a top project. They've got. Again, same thing, a product, distribution, community, people that have been in this, a team that knows what's up in this space and how to get things done. So a lot of really, really good stuff out there. That's all we have time for today. JJ Nitro, Owen Booth, Moshi Malaba, Mo, Crypto Steve, Robert Young, Eric Long, Raymond Safdie, Tom Crown,
Try harder.
Bailey Miller,
Shout out Tom Crown.
Party
Don't
Farm,
you
Mike
say
Bennett,
it one more time.
Your mother is creeping, and everybody else out here. We love all of you guys. We have a blast hanging out with you every single day. Buy some Bitcoin, spread some love, tell somebody the good word about crypto, and maybe some Litecoin too. Hey, go check out Tom Crown's channel while you're at it. We love all you guys. And Frankie Candles. Yeah, we love all you guys.
Hey.
Bye. Okay, I'll do it.